Hello, everyone. I am assuming that everyone here is as excited as I am to see the cast of Queen Sugar. Let's give that episode a round of applause. So our cast will be coming out momentarily, but my name is Arianna Davis, and I am, hey y'all, I am an entertainment features writer at Refinery 29, and I've been recapping the show all season. I'm obsessed, love it, and I'm really excited to talk with the cast tonight about what it's been like working on the show and their experiences. So I'm gonna go ahead and call out our cast. First, we have Timon Durrett, who plays Davis West. Up next, we have the adorable Nicholas Ashe, who plays Michael West. I mean, he's cute. Up next, Dondre Whitfield, who plays Remy. Omar Dorsey, who is Hollywood. Tina Lifford, Aunt Violet. Kofi Siriboe, everybody's bae in their imagination. That's Ralph Angel. Come on out. Up next, we have Dawn-Lyen Gardner, Charley Bordelon. And last but certainly not least, we have Rutina Wesley, who plays Nova. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. We're so excited to have all of you here. I wanted to kind of direct first at Dawn, if you could talk a little bit about what do you think this magical element is that's really resonated with viewers of Queen Sugar? What is it about this show that people just love?
Wow.
Go ahead, do that.
You know, Ava said something in a talk back once that I will always remember because it was the first time that I heard it articulated in a way that I went like, that's exactly it. She was talking about an Iranian filmmaker that she loves and how these Iranian films that he makes are all about Iranian family life. And she doesn't know anything about Iranian family life firsthand, but she said, I just love them. I feel like I watch them and I see myself. I watch them and I understand something more about humanity. And I feel like this show is doing that. And it's doing that in how it is sharing Black culture and how it's sharing these nuances and these details and these dynamics that if you aren't in the culture or aren't intimately connected to it, you may not know it. And it's a part of our wholeness. And I feel like when you're doing that, you're inviting people to know more deeply and to see more deeply and to see more wholly, a whole people and then themselves, you know? And there's something about the specificity of the show, the authenticity of the show that then translates into something universal. That's what I've been feeling in the playing of it, and that's what it feels like when I watch it. So I think that's part of the magic.
And I feel like a big part of the magic also is just the chemistry between the cast. I mean, you guys feel like a true, real family. Can you talk a little bit about how, that's so sweet. How did you guys kind of create that family-like vibe that really comes across on screen? What did you do either before the show started or while filming happened to kind of create this chemistry between you guys as a family unit?
Everyone's like,
Anybody jump in, anybody?
really good talking to
You know, that, to be honest with you, that family vibe started really with Ava. And I would go further back to Oprah. Because I think this is really the culmination of her vision, you know, for OWN. In programming that's original, that really is revealing and illuminating Black family life. And so I think the intention is a big part of that family feeling that you're seeing. But Ava, the way that she operates is unlike anything I've ever seen before. And she really does create such safety and such value in really seeing each other, being with each other, giving everything you have, bringing all of yourself to every part of the role. It's really Ava. That's where I think it really started.
And Ava casts on spirit. She always talks about how, the talent can be there, but what is the spirit like? What are they like? What is that person like? And you see each of us up here, and Ava saw each of us in a room singularly, and she said, these spirits together will be great. And so from the first moment we met, Ava made us all go run errands. They had to go run errands eat as a family. Kofi and I had to buy a gift for Blue, Aunt Vi, and then we had to eat, and we had a budget. And we bonded right away, and I'll never forget, well, I'll let you tell, Kofi, but you tell them about going into the flower shop as Ralph Angel yourself. First day, didn't even rehearse yet.
Mike, okay, here we go. I said, I need some roses for Aunt Vi. She doesn't know we buying them, but and then we got a cigar for for Ernest, for my father as well. And he actually had a cigar holder and pulled it out at the rehearsal, put the cigar in it, and on set, he actually sparked the cigar. So it was nice. It actually, like, those are the kind of things that happened off set that I think really painted the spaces, like, on camera. Yeah.
I also want to say that it's not just with the actors. Mm-hmm. It's with the entire cast and crew. And again, that is Ava. I heard, I think it was the first week that we were working or something, and I don't remember the context, but it was stated that Ava expects us to deal with one another with kindness, and that's everyone. And so when you've got the cast and then you've got the crew, and there's no difference between the two, there's no hierarchy. It's all about us showing up for one reason, and that is to allow something greater to happen through all of us for you all.
And I heard that you guys like to play spades and talk a little trash. Is that true?
That would be the Atlanta boy and the Brooklyn boy. Yeah, it's like everyone's saying, it's a family affair the whole time. So no matter what we're doing, playing spades, watching the basketball game, doing whatever, it's just, what you see on the screen is actually what the actors really are. The characters that we portray is exactly what we are. So it's very easy to come to work, and I just hang out with Tree or Dre the night before, and we already been talking, so the rapport is already there. It's just a very easy atmosphere, and Ava knows what she's doing when she casts. You know what I'm saying? It's my second time around with her. And the first time I met her, when I did Selma with her, and she was like, same thing that she told everybody here, I cast for spirits. Everybody can, we're in the business. We all act. You know what I'm saying? So she's like, you can act, but like, how are you going to mesh with the rest of the people? And that's exactly what she did.
Wow. Well, it shows on screen for sure. So Rutina, I wanted to ask you, everyone, I'm sure like me, loved you in True Blood and loved your character. Yes. And one thing I noticed in common with your two characters there and here in Queen Sugar is you're kind of playing a Black LGBT character. Can you reflect a little bit on, both of those characters and why you feel they're important?
I think they're important because they're a part of humanity. We have a huge LGBT community, and I feel like it's important to see that community in all the different colors and shapes that it is. And so I love that they kind of went left with Tara, and they were like, Tara and Pam? Sounds great. Let's go there. And with Nova now, it's another realized woman who is just living, and she's doing whatever she want to do, when she want to do it, how she want to do it, and who she want to, but I've never thought twice about it. When that storyline came my way, I never was, as an actor, was like, ooh, I was like, yeah, let's do that. Because I know that girl, and I know this girl, I know Nova's, I know Tara's. And so I just felt very grateful and was hopeful that as an actress, I could be in my most authentic self, playing these roles and be able to reach an audience. And I remember the storyline with Chantal, actually, Ava had said to me, she really wanted to shy away. She was like, I don't want the stereotype. I don't want the, it's not cute. It's a real thing. It's a relationship. It's a thing. There's something there. And that's all she had to say for me to go, there's no boundaries in what the possibilities were. And so when me and Reagan Gomez were trying to figure that relationship out, we both just kind of were open with it. And what you see is a realized relationship with texture there. And a lot of people I know in the LGBT community were watching it being like, okay, I recognize that. It's not two actors or two girls pretending to be, we're open with it. And Ava allows for that space for an actor to create in that way. Because sometimes we want to be open and vulnerable and full, but sometimes the space that you're working in is not always susceptible to that. So she really was like, here you go, it's safe. Now if you fall, just get right back up because we got you. So we were able to do take after take and to experiment and try and to play around, and then you get that. So yeah, it's been wonderful actually. Quite challenging sometimes.
Well, you pull it off. So Kofi, I'm interested, I think Ralph Angel's character is very layered. He's very complex. He has so much happening. He's a formerly incarcerated man who's kind of struggling to raise this young son. Can you reflect a little bit on playing this character, especially working with Ava, who just put out the amazing documentary 13th, which if you guys haven't seen it, please check it out. It's amazing. So I would like to hear from you a little bit about what it's been like playing this character.
I wish that came out before. That would have been awesome. But it's just an honor. First of all, just the perception of incarcerated people. We think they're animals. We think they lost all humanity. So my biggest thing was, how do I go into this without thinking about all the concepts I have of it? And in my opinion, I said my biggest bet is just forgetting about it completely. So I didn't ever step on set and say, all right, well, Ralph Angel's formerly, he wouldn't hold blue like this. He wouldn't talk, he wouldn't walk like, it was like, that's his past. It doesn't exist anymore. Your past is the past. It doesn't exist. So who is Ralph Angel right now? Who is he trying to establish? What identity is he trying to discover? And then how is he going to do that? What's the process? And I think that's what we see him doing, just like step by step. He's figuring it out. He's falling. Everybody's like, Ralph Angel can't get it right. A lot of us can't get it right. If you watch yourself on screen, you can't get it right. So with that being said, it's like, how do we get it right? And I guess that's why Queen Sugar is such a universal conversation. We're all watching Nova's, Charley's, Ralph Angel's, etc., getting it right in a place where you don't have to be a part of that world. You don't have to look. You get to reflect yourself off of people that that you've seen, that you've been.
Right. And speaking of getting it together, I feel like
Wait.
Charley. Oh.
I want to. What did you just say?
I said it's great that we're seeing it about getting it right.
Right. Instead of getting it wrong, we hyper focus on that. Right. Which is why I think it's so medicated. It's therapeutic. Absolutely. Thank you for watching.
That's it. So Dawn, I wanted to ask about Charley's character, and she kind of has this fall from grace, and she's kind of figuring her things out. She's almost humbled in a way back to her roots. How did you prepare to play this character? And she almost has two separate characters throughout the season. This woman in a glass castle in Hollywood to being a farm owner. So can you talk a little bit about your preparation process?
Yeah. Well, before I talk about that, I just want to speak to that really quickly, because I feel like so far in this season, I think one of my favorite moments is when the police come to the house and you go out to see, if the cell phones are there, and you're like preparing to be taken in. And then they don't find it, and you turn around and Vi's there. And that moment right in the doorway, when you look at him after you say, they're not going to find them, there's such forgiveness in that moment. And I feel like it's about not just seeing someone get it right, but seeing them get it wrong, realize they got it wrong, and have someone create space for that, so that they're not only getting it wrong, they're getting it wrong, but learning and evolving and seeing the possibility of getting it right. So I feel like that's as much a part of the shift and the transformation of that stereotype. Absolutely. Is that it's not just about they either get it wrong or they get it right. They, yeah. So I just wanted to say that. Yeah. But to your question, to your point, I'm a nerdy actor. Okay. So actually, speaking of, that's how I prepared. I'm a nerdy actor. I just went full throttle with like 700 questions. I should probably count them at some point to see how many questions I actually sent her. But I sent Ava these like emails just full of like, what high school did she go to? What neighborhood did she grow up in Los Angeles? And I just wanted to get very, very, very specific about who this woman is. Because I feel like when we meet her, she has constructed such fortresses, you know, of perfection. And you can do that for many reasons, you know. I wanted to sort of isolate what was her primary drive. And to do that, I felt like I needed to create very specific history and relationships that we all began to talk about, actually, in rehearsals and stuff. But I watched a lot of ESPN to prepare for the sort of sports part of it. And I also watched a lot of stuff around women in business, because I felt like just generally, she's not just dealing with the sports world, she's dealing with being in a world that is not friendly to women and in power. And she's, you know, changing the game in that way. And then I also just thought a lot about sort of my duality, you know, like speaking of her having two lives almost, or having two experiences, two faces. I feel like for many of us, when we get busy in a good way, it's a great way, but we can really disconnect. It can get so overwhelming. We can disconnect from our family life, especially if we're like, you know, in New York or in LA and away from our families. We can disconnect from ourselves often. And that's what you're watching to me in season 1, especially in that first episode, is someone who's so outward focused and defines herself by the trappings of her outer life and is actually neglecting her interior quite a bit. And it isn't until it falls, it has to fall. Her life has to crumble in order for her to make contact with herself again. So that's really what I focused on.
And I think a big part of her storyline that I'm most interested in this season is the sisterhood between Dawn and Nova's character, both because I have a sister, and also I feel like each of their characters kind of show two very important sides, and they almost are in a way, I want to say, kind of common portrayals of Black women in two different ways. So I wanted you both, if you could reflect a little bit about their sisterhood and what you individually brought to these two characters when it comes to the relationship between Nova and Charley.
Words. The words were there. The story was there. So there wasn't, I just had to look at you, and we went to Juilliard together. And so, and the first and only play we did together was For Colored Girls Who Consider Suicide When the Rainbow Isn't Enough. And it was all the little brown girls getting together at Juilliard and putting it on ourselves. And that's where the sisterhood started. And cut to 5 years of seeing each other. Dawn was ready to give it up. No more acting, I'm done. And I was with her in that moment. Cut to 5 years, here we are.
I love that.
So, and when I say 5 years, I mean like years would go by before we see each other. When we saw each other, nothing had changed. The sisterhood of me playing Lady in Yellow and, you know, yeah, Lady in Blue. And look at you in blue. That was always there. And we both tested on the same day, and I didn't know she was gonna be there. And I walked out of my audition with Ava, and there she was. And she said, you are exactly who I needed to see right now. And we hugged, and like 2 minutes seemed like 10. And I was like, you gotta go in there, but you gotta kill it. Oh my God, she looked just like Charley Bordelon West. Like, I was like, I'd never seen her look. I was like, who is, it was amazing. And cut, right, nerdy. And then cut to like Ava casting, and the casting directors were like, well, I think they know each other. And I think they have an affection for each other because they witnessed the hug, but Ava never saw that. She didn't come out of the room. So Ava just cast based, I think, on that. And then I knew, Dawn was already cast, and I knew, and then I got the chance to tell her that I was joining her in NOLA cocktails on a plane. She was on her way back to New York, about to shut her phone off, and she just got my text in time for me to say cocktails and NOLA. And now here we are. So it's like when you can work with someone who you like started your journey with, because I was a sophomore, the second year, and you were a senior when we did that play. Yeah. Beginning of everything. No, nothing. No, we were just students and trying to do our thing. And to be with her now is, it's a full circle moment because the sisterhood doesn't break. And even though those who haven't gone to school and those who have, you form bonds early with your peers, your actors. Somebody you get to play with in high school, whatever. And sometimes you get to come back to it. And it was really nice to come back to it because no matter if the camera was on or off, she has my back. Everybody up here has my back. And that's important because sometimes, I love when the camera turned around and she was still crying. She was still there. And it just, maybe it sounds sometimes cheesy, but sometimes it's nice when you get a return of someone who is like, I got you. I see you. Not only do I see you, but I got you. And that's important. So
That's a word.
I love you.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. I actually had a question for Timon first. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I kind of hate Davis West a little bit, just a little.
It's okay.
I mean,
it's all right.
but I also have a little bit of empathy. One thing I think that the show tackles that I hadn't seen on TV before was the way that professional athletes, which are usually Black men, are kind of put on this pedestal and, at a young age given all this money and all this fame, and then, they don't really know what to do with that. And I know that you were a college athlete yourself, and so I wanted you to talk a little bit about what you brought to this character and kind of maybe the side of Davis's character that people may not necessarily think about.
Well, excuse me. Davis is a very conflicted guy. He's not a monster. He's not an angel. He's got a balance between all the expectations in his life as a professional athlete, as a husband, and as a father. And he has to also navigate through the temptations of being a professional athlete. And, having played basketball in college, not even at a big school, but when you go on these tournaments out of town in different states where, you get all these big, tall athletes coming into your town, there's some expectations. Play ball, hang out with us. Can I come to your room? Things like that. And, I've never been a superstar athlete, but I've known some, and I talked to some of my friends about, the different temptations and things and the pressures and stuff that come with that. But I've had my share of being a knucklehead in my life too, and I can insert some of those instances where I had done wrong, but I was accused of doing more wrong or a different wrong. And if you notice that Davis is like, baby, I didn't rape her. But with the exclusion of the truth, I did have sex with this woman. In my life, I was like, listen, I know I need to be persecuted for what I did wrong, but don't accuse me for something that I didn't do. And I've been there. And when I read that in the script, I was like, dang, that happened to me before. And then, anyone here can tell you that I know that Ava knew what she was doing. I kind of thought that she had been stalking me for a period of my life, because I'm reading this, I'm like, okay. But yeah, there are certain similarities between myself and Davis, but yeah, that's who he and I are. We're very different, but we're similar in just a few ways, just so y'all know. But yeah, it was challenging to try to, and I like a challenge. I like conflict. I like controversy. I like playing characters that are very, they kind of give you that, oh, this guy right here, because that's not who I am. And anyone up here could tell you, I'm a goofball, I'm a nerd, I'm a protector, I'm this big, as Kofi calls me, he's like this big teddy bear, the big brother. But on camera, I play this guy who does what he does, but it's not who I am, which I like playing that character. But those are some things that I was able to put into Davis's life because certain aspects of certain situations within the stories that you guys have seen, I've been through that, I've been through that, the emotional aspect of it. So, yeah.
So my next question is for Omar and Tina. From the very first episode, I was obsessed with Violet and Hollywood's love for each other, the way they interact. I feel like their love is not something that we really see, particularly with Black characters on TV very often. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about their relationship and how it's different from other depictions of Black love that we've seen on television.
Sure, it's an honor to talk about anything Queen Sugar, quite honestly. Before I answer that, I would like to just revisit something that Omar said, and I truly understand what he was saying when he said that, that's who he is, and so he's just showing up to work. Everyone up here is really, really committed to the work, committed to telling the truth and using our individual instruments and talent to get to that truth. And what is beautiful, as it's been stated by others, is that when Ava chose each one of us, there was enough resonating in us where she could trust her words and her vision to the kind of committed talent that she has assembled. But I can assure you, in knowing these people as well as I do, they are acting at a very high level, and I think it's important to say that because this dude here, and these ladies here, I mean, literally everyone, they bring a sensibility as their character, and they step into those roles in a way that is not who they are, not as I know them. So you're looking at people who take what we all do extremely seriously. And we may joke and play and all of that, but when that camera rolls, it's on. And it's interesting because when we came out, we were doing the little high five that they do in sports events. And often on Queen Sugar, I feel for the first time, because I never participated in like a sports, a team sport. But being on Queen Sugar is like a team sport because each one of us, we are so committed to, like Rutina was saying, being there for the other, that when that camera, when your castmate is doing their thing and the camera is on them and the camera's not on you, we all take it as though every single moment is live and popping. Because that's how committed we are to the work, period. Yeah. The relationship with Hollywood, I have said this before, and I'd love to share it with you because as an actress, we all know what it means to make room for the character. And there are some times when you are making room for the character that the character surprises you, and the character tells you something. And this character, Omar, is a happily married man. But I am telling you that when the camera rolls, I love this man. And when he surprises me, as he did in one scene with his presence there, it's not me just acting, it's that my heart goes, he's there. But that's because we have such a a space to be vulnerable and available with one another.
You know, the thing about it is, these characters aren't depicted a lot of. They're not depicted, but we know these people. You know, so like Tina and I had dinner tonight, and I was like, it's an honor and a privilege for me to play Hollywood. I know Hollywood. I know that cat. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I know a dude who dresses boogie like that dude, you know, but loves his woman so much and would do anything. When she's like, what you doing here? I kicked you out the house. You know what? I'm going to put these boards up so your windows don't get blown out. And I don't care what you got to say. You don't get over it tomorrow. You know, so I feel like it's my responsibility and my duty to reflect that because we know those people, you know, and so that's all. It's what it is.
And Dondre, I wanted to hear from you a little bit about Remy and his relationship with Charley. And then, yes, I love them together. And then also I'd like to hear, what happened? What happened?
What'd you say?
I didn't say anything. That was the big man down there going,
Well, I think Davis had that coming to him, but anyway. So I wanted to hear from Dondre a little bit about playing Remy, and then also, fun fact, his wife, Sally Whitfield, directed this week's episode. So I wanted to hear also what it was like working with your wife.
Well, first, let me just speak to that part. So my wife is an extraordinarily talented actress first, and she's become an extraordinarily talented director. And the first day she came in, one of our ADs came to my trailer and he said, "Hey, so what's this gonna be like, you know, with your wife directing?" And I said, "Look, man, we've been together for 19 years. We've been married for 14 years. She directs me every day. I'm gonna be fine." True story. In fact, I actually was one of the ones that was really pushing for her to direct, because I was like, hey, look, you got a knack for this directing thing, because you direct the heck out of stuff around here. You may as well put this into practice. My wife really does have a vision for that, and when she came here, she had the benefit of all the intel that most other directors didn't have, because I told on everybody. I was like, Rutina, she, Dawn, she, Kofi, he, Tina, she. So every single night, every single one, Omar, Nick, then I'm like, Timon, I'm like, and then me, then there's me. So she had the benefit of all that intel, and then she really did go in and she did everything that she was supposed to do with it. You'll see it reflected as she directed both episodes, and I love her. Okay, enough about her. So, Remy, I love this guy because I think very early on we were asked to come up with an adjective to describe our characters. And I said, resuscitator. Because Remy resuscitates the land, and I think very much for the family. He resuscitates a portion that dies in them, that dies with Ernest, Dad. And it's interesting to see the dynamics between him and Charley change, because, you know, in the beginning, you know, look, if that's your boy, you know, you meet his daughter, you like, okay, I'm gonna take care of, you know, because that's what brother, you know, but then after a while, some things happen, you're like, I don't know what's going on here. You're like, I hope you don't get upset at this, but, and this is what's happening with Remy and Charley. The dynamics are beginning to change because he was there to be a protector, and now he begins to recognize her for the woman that she truly is, and sees this deficient state that she's in with her husband, and with his wife being gone and him not having a significant one in his life. Every single day that they converse and they collaborate in this the spectrum of what to do with this land, he's beginning to see that, wow, this is really a partner above and beyond everything that we're doing. So I love it.
And Nicholas, you are, aside from Ethan Hutchinson, who plays the adorable Blue, you are the youngest person on this cast, and you're a little bit older than your character who's in high school, but can you talk a little bit about some of the lessons that you've learned from playing Micah's character?
Sure. I'm 3 years removed from high school and 5 years removed from my character. So when I went into audition, Ava sat me down and she's like, this guy's 15. That's like, how are you gonna do that? What does that mean to you? And, I explained to her, like, between 15 to maybe 23, maybe even after that, life is like a journey. There's no, like, end route or, like, destination. I think I'm still deciding, the adjectives and nouns I want to use to describe myself, and I think Mike is doing the very same thing. He's very astute and receptive to everything that's going on, and I just admire his compassion and maturity about all of it, and the fact that he's so objective. And I think that revisiting my high school experience, I was much more sensitive to that, to the people he had around helping him, if not by vocabulary and by here, this is how you do this, by example, from the men and women in his life showing him how to lead. So it was really nice, and that chemistry is reflected in our actual lives, you know what I mean? The same way Micah has Davis to look to as a paternal figure and as an example, Nick has Timon, Nick has Omar, Nick has Dondre, Nick has Tina. So those chemistries and balances are exactly mirrored, and that's why it functions so well, I think.
Yeah, and I think a lot of grown women have crushes on Micah. So, I mean, just saying.
Right.
So I would love to hear. Yeah. So I think there is almost another character on this show, which is Southern Louisiana and New Orleans, and I would love to hear from any of you guys about what it's like filming there and how Louisiana specifically has played into the vibe of the show.
I had my wife actually brought my children to Louisiana during their spring break, and I took them on a tour of a plantation, and it was really interesting because we went through one of the dining rooms in the big house, and there was a small stool in a corner that was attached to a pulley that was connected to a piece of large tapestry over the table. And the woman explained to us that a slave child, a boy, would be sitting in that corner tugging on the pulley to create a fan. And so I said, how old would this boy typically be? She said about 6 or 7 years old. And my son is 7. And at that time, my son looked up at me and I looked down at him, and it really hit me hard. And when we went outside and we got to the land, I could feel ancestry. And not coincidentally, because I don't believe in coincidences. I think things happen for a specific reason. The very next day, we were shooting on a piece of land right next door to the plantation that we shot on, or that we toured. And I had no idea of knowing where those things were going to be. It's about an hour away from where we actually live. So all of that was kind of orchestrated. And I remember the first day that I kind of walked outside and just walked the land. And I looked out and I could see bodies. I could see people. I could see my people. And it really does feel like that every single day. When I get out there, there are times where I just go out because Remy is water irrigation specialist, and he does resuscitate land. I felt like it was really important for me to try to get a relationship with the land. And so every day I would take my own walk by myself with the land and just hear and just feel. And I swear there were days I could really see bodies moving. And so the landscape of Louisiana is definitely, just like the music on our show, is another character. So all of these beautiful people that you see depicting these beautiful characters, you get to have the landscape be another beautiful character as well as the music.
You know, Meryl Streep, I believe, said that she usually she finds a piece of clothing for her character, and then that clothing helps her to find her way into the role, into the character. And I feel that Queen Sugar, that Louisiana, just the vibe of it, the family house that we have, there is a tree in the back of that house that has to be, I don't know, how many hundreds of years old. And it is amazing. And to stand next to that tree or to touch that tree, it is literally like, that film where you touch the bubble that takes you into eternity. So I think that, again, the brilliance of the designers of the show understood that that land would feed us as actors, because we could have done this in Atlanta or someplace else in the South, but that's not how Natalie Baszile wrote it, right?
So one of my last questions for you guys, fun fact, I got my start in journalism working for Oprah magazine, and I love telling people I worked for Oprah. So I wanted to hear from you guys. First of all, did any of you guys freak out when you first met Oprah? And also, what has it been like working with her and working for the OWN network?
Well, like I said, I was in Selma. It's my second time working with her. So when I was in Selma, I freaked out because, the most days it would be just she and I in the hair trailer. I had a wig on, and it took about an hour for him to throw that wig on my head. So it'd just be she and I in the hair trailer, and it was surreal. And I was like, if my mama could see this, I'm chilling with O right now, But I call her my fairy godmother. You know what I'm saying? Because whenever she sprinkles something on me, I get happy. You dig?
You dig?
Yeah, man, she owns a television network. Yes. You dig?
Yes.
That is nothing to sneeze at a black woman who owns a network and has Queen Sugar on there. That's an accomplishment that's so far beyond. And I'm so proud of her. And I'm so proud to even call her an acquaintance, let alone a friend. So yeah.
I love working with Oprah. She's so sweet. It's really a pleasure. I mean, to be young and to have such a example, and she just leads by example. Her presence alone is just so much intel, and I feel like she's so intentional. She cares so much about what she's doing with Queen Sugar and what she was doing with casting. It was never, I just want to make it she has a network. She could be done. She could have been done. She could have been done with the Oprah show, but she's still doing. She still has something to say. And it goes back to what she said to Ava, what are you trying to say with Queen Sugar? And sometimes I haven't asked her this question, but I want to ask her, what are you trying to say with Queen Sugar? You allowed this to happen. You conceived this idea truly. What is your big master plan? What are you thinking? And just to be a part of her master plan, not knowing that answer, it's a gift in its own. Because I know she's thinking about something. It's Oprah, So it's just a blessing. It's really not deeper than that.
My first acting job was in 1993 for a made-for-television movie called There Are No Children Here in Chicago, where I'm from. And it starred It starred Oprah. And when I saw the audition, I was living in Atlanta at the time, and this was around the time a lot of the cast knows the story. I was getting close to giving up, you know, at least for now, because, you know, life happens. And I saw on the, after seeing Selma, I had auditioned for Selma, but I had never seen any of Ava DuVernay's work. And after seeing that, and I saw on the audition breakdowns, executive producer Oprah Winfrey and Ava DuVernay, I was like, wait, hold on now. I said, I'm gonna audition for this. And I did. We end up, fast forward, I meet Dawn and Rutina, and then we meet everyone, and then we go into the table read at the lot in Los Angeles. And I'm in line getting food, they had it catered. And right when I'm by the door, Oprah walks in. And I just, you know, I see somebody walking in, I look, and she goes, hey! Freaked me out. Came at me, you know, she comes with those palm hugs, you know, she grabs your hand. And she came and grabbed me and hugged me and gave me a kiss on the cheek, and I was freaking out, and I realized, like, Timon, dude, relax, man, she knows who you are. But it was just cool that, you know, to see it come back full circle. My very first job was as an extra in a movie starring her. And then at what I thought was gonna be the end of my career, because I had gone through so many fiery valleys in my life, had a lot of dark times. And to see her come in there and embrace me that way, I was like, man, come on. I'm here, y'all. If this my last job, my career can die happy, period. You know, but I ain't come this far just to come this far. I ain't done, y'all. So that's what it is.
I just want to talk for a second about the OWN network, because walking into the offices of OWN is, it tells you everything about Miss Winfrey's intention with that network. It is one of the healthiest work environments I've ever been in. Definitely one of the healthiest network offices I've ever been in, for sure. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you want to set up camp. You just keep going back. You find excuses to go back. And everyone that I've met there, from the president, who took me surfing. Like, the president took me surfing. What? Like, what president of a network will be like, random person in a show, do you want to go surfing? We went to a town hall where they were celebrating the first numbers they were getting back, and everyone was crying. We were crying. Everyone was crying. That kind of culture is really revolutionary in Hollywood, in creating TV, and I think that's to be really celebrated, acknowledged, and amplified, because I think it's presenting a possibility of a different way of creating and connecting with content. It does not have to be exclusive, and it does not have to be over your head. It does not have to be celebrated as an intellectual achievement. It doesn't have to be any of those things. It's just making the pie bigger. And if anything, in terms of what she has to say, I feel like part of what she's always saying, definitely I feel like what she's saying with this show, is that we are bigger. We can be bigger. That's what those offices are constantly communicating. There's glass everywhere to let light in the entire floor. You know, that's so intentional. So just a shout out to OWN.
And who better to be handed the baton than Ava DuVernay, you know? I think that we admire them, obviously, in every tweet, in every movie, in every project that their name is attached to. They're, one, proud of it, and they're also so conscious and political with anything that they're attached to. That inspires me, and getting to meet them, getting to meet the women of color behind the scenes, behind the curtain, they're both so innately human and artists at heart. So I think you could have given the script of Queen Sugar to a different director, to a different network, and you wouldn't see what you've been seeing for these past 10 episodes, you know? So I think it's that teamwork, that coalition. You know, you hear we, us, and the Queen Sugar family a lot, so.
I wanted to speak to that, the just piggyback what my brother was saying, because being around Miss O is like being I said this in an interview once. I said, it's kind of like being around Jesus and Harriet Tubman, like at the same time. Like, like she could bless you like Jesus and then free you like Harriet. Like I was like, yeah. So we're doing like our like table read before we actually go to Louisiana, right? We're in California, we're doing this table read. Now normally when you sit around the table and you read the script, the cast is there, everyone is around, the network heads and all the suits are around and everybody's flipping their script. And, okay. No one looks at the actors, they're just looking at the words. They're just hearing the actors, but they're very much, but not Miss, oh. See, what you don't do at a table read is really react to anything. And if you do react, it better be quick because you're messing up what's going on here. So the human thing that I was trying to piggyback was we're sitting there and Dawn and I are doing like this scene where you first get that, you know, Remy, Charley kind of like moment. And Miss O goes, ooh, ooh, woo, yes. Now, as an actor, you're never used to that because people just don't do that, right? So my first mind was like, hey, lady. And then I was like, you could keep going. You just keep going. It's okay. No, you do what you want. You do what you want. So now I'm sitting there and I'm like, is she, we gotta wait because she gotta, is she, okay. Okay, that's the check lady. Okay, so. But I loved it because it just showed how human she was. Like, she really loves this show. She loves these characters. She loves the journey. And I just thought that was dope, man. That, like, Jesus and Harriet was like, yeah, all right. It was awesome.
You know, and maybe to piggyback on that. So there's all kinds of wonderful stories about Oprah. But one thing that I did maybe a week ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, I was in a situation, and I can't remember the context right this moment. And in that situation, I thought, what would billionaire, confidence-filled Oprah Winfrey think about this right now? What would she do? And you know, it literally, when, and I believe that this is true, this is a principle, that when you think of someone who is shining at the level of your dreams and desire, it lifts you. And so take that, you know, whether it is Oprah, and that's a really good one, you know, but whatever. Because that's what I feel she has done for all of us, whether we're thinking about her consciously or not.
Absolutely.
Well, as a brown woman, as a human being, as a viewer of the show, I want to, on behalf of the audience, thank you guys for all of your work on the show. It is truly, truly amazing. Yes. So thank you so much. That's all the time we have for today, but give it up for the cast of Queen Sugar, everyone.